the group that is formed by the removal of one hydrogen atom from any alkane, that is known as an alkyl group or alkyl radical. Usually we use the symbol R. R is used, capital R is used to represent alkyl radical. R is used to represent alkyl radical. Alkyl radical or alkyl group. The symbol R is usually used to represent alkyl radical or alkyl group. For example, if we have alkane, RH is any alkane, right students? And if we remove one hydrogen from alkane, then alkane changes to corresponding alkyl radical. This is alkane. After the loss of one hydrogen, alkane changes to alkyl. Ane is replaced with yl. Right students? So in this way, alkyl groups are named by replacing the ane of alkane with yl. We will see different examples to understand this concept. For example, if we have methane, right students? To understand, we will write methane in this way, CH3H. This is methane. Now, after the loss of one hydrogen, if we remove one hydrogen from methane, then after the loss of one hydrogen, one vacancy of carbon becomes vacant, right? So, in this way, methane, methane. Ane changes to yl. Methane changes to methyl. Similarly, if we have ethane, ethane is an alkane which is made up of two carbon atoms. We have ethane, CH3, CH3. This is ethane. Now, after the loss of one hydrogen, if we remove one hydrogen from ethane, after the loss of one hydrogen, one vacancy of carbon becomes vacant, and ethane changes to ethyl, ethyl radical or ethyl group. Now students, if we have propane, then after the loss of one hydrogen from propane, right, we get two different types of alkyl radicals depending upon from हाइड्रोजन एटम इज रिमूव फ्रॉम विच कार्बन, यानी हाइड्रोजन एटम जो है वो फर्स्ट कार्बन से रिमूव हुआ है या सेकंड कार्बन से रिमूव हुआ है. ठीक है, लेट्स स्टडी टू अंडरस्टैंड दिस कॉन्सेप्ट बाय टेकिंग द एग्जांपल. वी हैव प्रोपेन CH3 CH2 CH3. ठीक है. नाउ इफ हाइड्रोजन एटम इज रिमूव फ्रॉम टर्मिनल कार्बन. टर्मिनल कार्बन कौन सा कार्बन होता है? द स्टार्टिंग कार्बन और द एंडिंग कार्बन, पहला या आखिरी कार्बन. तो अगर हाइड्रोजन एटम फर्ज किया कि पहले कार्बन से रिमूव होता है, वी गेट CH2 CH3. ठीक है, ये वाला रेडिकल बनेगा. दिस रेडिकल इज नोन एज, दिस इज एन प्रोपेन. द कॉमन नेम ऑफ दिस मॉलिक्यूल इज एन प्रोपेन. N shows it is a straight chain compound. ठीक है ना, N propane. तो N propane after the loss of one hydrogen changes to N propyl. ठीक है, N propyl. N is changes to yl. In this way we get N propyl radical. Now students, if hydrogen atom is removed from the second carbon, अगर second carbon से hydrogen atom remove होता है, ठीक है, this carbon is the second carbon. So if hydrogen atom is removed from the second carbon, then one vacancy of second carbon becomes vacant, like this CH3CH. Its one vacancy becomes vacant and CH3. Right students? In this way, after the loss of one hydrogen from second carbon, The one vacancy of second carbon becomes vacant, right students, and we get the propyl radical, right? This propyl radical is known as isopropyl. Isopropyl. This is isopropyl radical. Similarly, if we have butane, butane is an alkane molecule which is made up of 4 carbon atoms. Now students, we write butane, CH3, CH2, CH2, CH3. This is butane. Its common name is N-butane. N shows it is a straight chain compound. Right students, now if we have butane molecule and if we remove hydrogen from butane, again we get two types of radical. ठीक है, ये किस चीज़ पे डिपेंड करता है कि हाइड्रोजन एटम जो है वो कौन से कार्बन से निकला है. ठीक है ना. इफ हाइड्रोजन एटम इज रिमूव फ्रॉम फर्स्ट कार्बन और फ्रॉम लास्ट कार्बन, देन वी विल गेट N-butyl radical. N-butyl radical बनेगा हमारे पास किस तरह से. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, इफ हाइड्रोजन इज रिमूव फ्रॉम द फर्स्ट कार्बन, if hydrogen is removed from the first carbon, the one vacancy of first carbon becomes vacant, so we will get N-butyl radical, CH2, 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 CH3. Right students, this radical is known as N-butyl. Butane to butyl, ane to yl, N-butyl, N-butyl radical or N-butyl group. Right students, now the second type of butyl radical which is formed, ठीक है, if one hydrogen is removed from second और third carbon, अगर second या third carbon से एक hydrogen निकल जाता है, ठीक है, फर्ज किया कि if we remove one hydrogen from second carbon, तो after the loss of one hydrogen from second carbon, here hydrogen is removed from second carbon, CH2, CH3. Now this butyl radical is formed. This butyl radical is known as secondary butyl radical. It is secondary butyl radical. ठीक है students, why it is secondary butyl radical? Because this carbon atom is secondary carbon. What is the nature of this carbon students? This is secondary carbon. Secondary carbon कौन सा carbon होता है? The carbon atom which is directly attached with two more carbon atoms. देखें ये carbon atom direct कितने carbon atom से attach है? 1, 2. ठीक है, this carbon atom is directly attached with two more carbon atoms, so that's why this carbon is secondary carbon, and this radical is known as secondary butyl radical. I hope concept of alkyl radical is clear to you students.